You know, Emily, I never thought this would happen. John's voice was a tight, strangled knot in his throat. His eyes locked on the grey expanse of the Brooklyn sky, where rain lashed down relentlessly. Each drop drumming against the roof and the window pane was a stark, rhythmic punctuation mark on the painful truth he wasn't ready to absorb. Emily sat across from him, her hand instinctively wiping away a stray tear. Yet her gaze remained cold, sharp, and so utterly final it made John physically flinch. "John, you have to understand, things changed a long time ago," Emily stated, her tone low, unwavering, and devoid of the hesitation he desperately hoped for. The air between them had frozen solid, the drumming rain the only soundtrack to their suffocating silence. John slumped, his heart hammering against his ribs, each beat a rush of long-suppressed agony. He tried to cling to the good memories, the countless afternoons strolling through Central Park, golden leaves crunching underfoot, their laughter echoing against the backdrop of quiet serenity. The cozy evenings they spent cooking together in their tiny kitchen, the lingering scent of baked bread, the lazy Sunday mornings curled up on the sofa, listening to jazz, their conversation drifting aimlessly. Now, all of it was a faded, cripplingly painful echo. Emily leaned forward, a flicker of regret crossing her features, yet her resolve held firm. "John, do you really think we can rewind? The truth is, we can't." John's chest tightened, a sharp, physical ache spreading through him. He wanted to argue, to plead, to grasp onto anything, but the words were trapped in his throat. It was just the two of them, two people who had once been everything to each other, now standing at the precipice of separation, helpless against the invisible chasm that had opened between them. John scanned the room, a small, second-floor apartment in an old Brooklyn brownstone, the place where they had laughed, fought, and always found their way back into each other's arms. Every detail, from the slightly worn couch and the frayed curtain edges, to the kitchen counter with the faint residue of last night's takeout, screamed of the happiness he had lost. He swallowed hard, his voice trembling. "Emily, I know I messed up. I want to fix this. I want us back." Emily remained silent for a long moment, her eyes seeming to bore straight into his soul. "Some things, once they're truly broken, they can't be put back together," she whispered, her voice softening slightly. But the conviction was still ironclad. She rose, walking slowly toward the door, then gently pushed the window ajar, letting the cool drizzle mist her hair. The street lights outside cast a weak, golden sheen on her face, and John suddenly saw a whole world he no longer belonged to. John sank back down, a profound emptiness spreading through his core. He stared out the window at the rain-slicked, desolate Brooklyn street, a scene both familiar and unbearably suggestive of his lost past. In his heart, every story, every shared memory, had curdled into a raw, painful ache. He knew this chapter was closed, but he didn't know how to start the next one. He got up, walked to his desk, and his hand shakily settled on a framed photograph of the two of them from a Christmas Eve, their smiles radiant under strings of twinkling lights. John closed his eyes and inhaled deeply, letting the scent of old paper and photo emulsion flood his senses. Loneliness, disappointment, and searing regret intertwined, suffocating him. He remembered Emily's laugh, the way her eyes used to sparkle with joy, her gentle words on a cold winter night, all now encased in a thick fog he couldn't penetrate. Emily turned back one last time, her expression suggesting a final, unspoken thought, but she remained mute. John realized it wasn't just separation, it was the fact that they had both drifted too far to ever return. He sat down, burying his face in his hands. The rain outside kept falling, a steady, relentless drumming that reminded him life was continuing, whether he was ready to face it or not. Unanswered questions spun in his mind. How did it end like this? Is there truly no chance to fix what we broke? Or is this all just a memory now? With every passing second, the silence between them was a tangible, impassable wall. John knew this conversation, this moment, would be etched into his memory forever, like the unceasing rain outside the window, reminding him that a volume of his life had closed, and he had to find a way to turn the page. John remained slumped, his face buried in his hands, the steady drumming of the rain outside now a cruel metronome marking the hollowness in his chest. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to replay Emily's cold voice from moments before. Every word she had spoken felt like a sharp jab, reminding him of his failures, of the promises he'd made and broken. Was it all his fault, or had they both simply drifted into a dead end, too blind to see it coming? Emily stood pressed against the window, gazing out at the slick, rain-soaked street. The streetlights reflected on the pavement, shimmering faintly yet devoid of warmth, much like her own emotions, glimmering, distant, and cold. She sighed, her voice a mix of gentleness and steel. "John, some things can't be undone, no matter how much you wish they could. We tried, you and I. But it's too late now." John lifted his head, his eyes red-rimmed and pleading. He wanted to reach for her hand, to pull her close, but his body felt paralyzed. "Emily, I can't accept this. Just give me one chance, please. Just one. I'll fix everything." His voice was a shaky, choked plea. Emily turned fully, her gaze cutting through the space, locking onto John's. "One chance. John, we've done the one chance dance too many times. Each time, a little more of my trust got shredded. You think I can just forget all of that?" She walked toward him, slowly, deliberately, each step emphasizing the growing, physical distance their emotional rift had created over the months. John stood up, moving to the opposite window, his hands clenched into fists. I know I screwed up, but can't you see how sorry I really am? I've changed. I can show you." His voice was tightly controlled, verging on breaking, but he forced himself to hold the line. Emily shook her head gently, a small, sad smile touching her lips, a smile too fragile to mend the pain tearing at John. "I wanted to believe you. I truly believed you would never hurt me again, but then, I realized love isn't always enough to save everything. Some wounds, they just don't heal." John fell silent. His chest felt crushed. He looked around the apartment again. Every small detail intact but now utterly alien. The sofa where they used to share late-night secrets, the curtain fluttering slightly in the draft, the dinner plates still on the counter, all stark reminders that the good memories had been drained, leaving only raw pain behind. Emily took a deep breath, continuing in a soft but resolute tone. "John, I can't come back to you. I need time. I need space. Maybe we both just have to walk our separate paths now. I can't handle any more heartbreak." John stood motionless, staring at Emily, feeling empty and defeated. He knew that no matter how hard he begged, she would still walk away, but the depth of this loss was unbearable. It felt like his entire world was collapsing. Every memory, every laugh, every promise, now just a cold, bottomless void. Emily turned her back, opened the door, and stepped out, letting the rain immediately dampen her shoulders. John watched her, his heart tearing. The steady patter of the rain, the sound of her receding footsteps down the wet street, left him alone in the small apartment, consumed by an unbearable, cold solitude. John let out a ragged breath, his eyes fixed on the falling rain. He knew this was the defining moment, the instant he had to choose, between letting go or desperately clinging to a love that was already gone. But for now, there was only silence, agony, and memories adrift in the unending sound of the rain. After Emily walked out, John stayed rooted by the window, his hand resting on the cool pane, watching the rain streak down the glass, a constant emphasis on the emptiness inside him. His heart hammered a frantic internal siren warning him of his failures and the critical words left unsaid. He stumbled back toward the living room, gazing around the apartment once the backdrop for their happiness, now a stark museum of pain and loss. He took a ragged breath, fighting for control, but the memories surged back, harder and faster than before. He recalled the times Emily had hidden a deep sorrow, moments when she tried to suppress her feelings to protect him, small details he'd carelessly overlooked, a fleeting shadow in her eyes, a forced smile. A sudden change of subject now hit him like shrapnel, a brutal reminder that he had been too self-absorbed, too focused on his own world to truly see her. Suddenly, his phone vibrated sharply on the desk. John snatched it up. The text was from Saray Millie's closest friend, Sarah. "John, do you know what's going on with Emily? She didn't want you to know yet, but she needs help. Please get over here if you can." John froze. His heart leaped into his throat. What is going on with her? Why didn't she tell me? Confusion and a rush of agonizing helplessness washed over him. Without hesitation, John typed back, "On my way. Keep me updated." But the screen remained blank. No reply. Just the steady drumming rain outside and the frantic pulse in his ears. John didn't wait. He bolted for the coat room, threw on his rain jacket, and burst out the door, letting the rain slap his face. A cold shock that momentarily drowned out the chill inside. Streetlights glared off the puddles, shimmering but muted, mirroring his relationship with Emily, once brilliant, now distant and dim. Every footfall on the slick pavement underscored his rising desperation. He replayed Emily's final cold look and the words he couldn't shake. Some things, once they're truly broken, they can't be put back together. As John rounded the corner, he spotted her. Emily was standing huddled under the awning of a small, dimly lit coffee shop, her hair damp, her eyes distant and fixed on nothing. His heart clenched. Emily. His voice was a raw sound in the rainy night, like finding a vital piece of himself he thought was lost forever. Emily spun around, her face a mask of surprise, overlaid with worry and deep reservation. "John, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice hushed, as if afraid he might hear the fear trembling beneath the surface. "I couldn't just leave you alone. You need me, Em. Whatever it is, we face it together," John said, the words driven by a sudden, desperate clarity that was a mix of belief and sheer terror. Emily was silent, her eyes searching his. A single tear tracked down her cheek, instantly merging with the rain. She knew that some things had changed irreparably, but one thing hadn't. The deep connection they once shared was still there, a fragile thread woven through the pain and the fear. John stepped closer, his hands shaking, wanting desperately to touch her shoulder. "Emily, you can't let us end like this. We can find a way through this. I swear I will never hurt you again." His voice was thick with emotion, his eyes pleading. Emily slowly shook her head, her voice softening slightly but still firm. "John, I wanted to believe you. I thought you were the one who wouldn't fail me, but then I realized that love isn't always enough to save everything. Some wounds, they just don't heal." John stood still, staring at her, feeling empty and cornered. He realized this wasn't just a breakup. It was about the secrets and the quiet anxiety Emily had been hiding from him all this time. He understood that if he wanted to save anything, he had to do more than apologize. He had to force his way into the private world she was guarding. Emily looked away, her gaze drifting toward the rain-swept street, where everything was sinking into shades of gray, mirroring her own conflicted emotions. "John, I need time. I need space. Maybe we both just have to walk our separate paths. I can't take any more pain." John watched her, his heart shattering again. The steady rain, the sound of her footsteps fading away, left him alone on the empty street, consumed by an inconsolable loneliness. A barrage of questions fired through his mind. Why did it have to end like this? Is there still a chance to fix it? Or is it all just memory? John knew this moment was the absolute tipping point. If he gave up now, it was over. But if he pushed forward, the pain would only deepen, and he would have to confront himself, Emily, and all the unsaid truths. The rain kept falling, echoing in the night, underscoring the despair, but also a stark reminder that no matter how bad things were, life kept moving, and so must he. John stood under the coffee shop awning, the rain soaking his shoulders, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm that told him there was no turning back. He looked at Emily. Her eyes were filled with anxiety and apprehension, but beneath that, he saw a deep, debilitating fatigue he'd never witnessed before. He stepped closer, his voice strained yet resolute. "Emily, you need to tell me what's going on. I can't help you if you keep hiding it." Emily shook her head slightly, a tear trailing the path of rain on her cheek. "John, I didn't want you to be dragged into this pain. It's too complicated." Her voice broke, her eyes glistening with fear. John felt her terror, but also a silent, desperate plea for him to stay. "Emily, I'm not scared. I'm only scared of losing you. If you want me here, I'm here. Whatever it is, I'm not abandoning you," John asserted, the words carving themselves into his consciousness, fueled by a fierce mix of determination and love. Emily was silent for a heavy moment, then slowly moved into the shelter of the cafe's recessed doorway. John followed, watching her every movement. She pulled him into a dimly lit corner where the pale yellow light illuminated her strained, rain-faded face. "John, I'm in serious trouble at work. It's not a small thing. I've been pressured by a partner to do things I'm deeply uncomfortable with. I was terrified that if you knew, you'd worry too much. I didn't want to drag you into it," Emily sobbed, her voice fragmenting with relief and fear. John blinked, a jolt of shock, anger, and anxiety coursing through him. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? You know I'd always be in your corner, right? I don't care if it's messy or hard. I just want to face it with you." His voice dropped, each word a powerful rumble, ripping apart the silence of her long-held pain. Emily hung her head, trembling. "I was afraid everything would spiral out of control, and if you got involved, it would make things worse." She looked up, her eyes wide and wet, staring directly into John. "But I need you here, John. I don't know if there's a way out of this without hurting both of us." John reached out and took her hands, his grip firm enough to anchor her. "Emily, we will find a way. I'm not giving up on us. I promise I will stand with you through this, no matter how tough the fight is." The declaration rang with the weight of an unbreakable vow. In that instant, Emily finally sagged, leaning into John's touch, her tears mingling with the dampness of the rain. washing away the tension that had choked them both for months. The space around them hushed, dominated only by the relentless drumming of the rain on the awning and the rapid, synchronized breathing of two people facing the ultimate test of their relationship. John took a deep breath, feeling the heavy weight lift slightly from his heart. He knew that if they were to salvage their love, he couldn't just be with Emily. He had to enter the danger zone and confront the secrets she was concealing. And now, in his heart, there was no fear, only a fierce, blinding resolve. Even if the rain continued to fall, even if the road ahead was steep and treacherous, they would walk it together, or fall together. Emily looked at John, a fragile, hopeful smile breaking through her tear-stained face. "John, if you won't give up on me, then we'll find a way out," she whispered, her voice shaky but filled with renewed faith. John squeezed her hands tightly, as if transferring all his strength to her. "I'm not giving up on you, Emily. Never." The rain outside intensified, underscoring the gravity of the moment, blending with the frantic thrumming of their hearts, creating a powerful, meaningful silence, the silence of commitment, of trust, and of the pain that was finally about to be released. John and Emily broke cover from the cafe awning and stepped onto the rain-slick street. The streetlights glared off the wet pavement, shimmering vaguely, hinting at the peril ahead. Emily kept her head down, her steps shaky, burdened by exhaustion and mounting fear. John stayed glued to her side, his hand clamped firmly around hers, trying to physically transfer his resolve to her. "Emily, you have to tell me everything now. I can't help you if you're still holding back," John insisted, his voice low and uncompromising. Emily inhaled sharply, her eyes full of conflict, as she looked at him. "John, I don't know if you can handle it. The corporate partners, they didn't just threaten my job. They're trying to force me into things that are far more dangerous." Her voice was a terrified whisper, each word dragging with it a profound, paralyzing fear. John's brows furrowed, his heartbeat accelerating. What are they making you do?" he demanded, his voice dropping to a dangerous, strained pitch. Emily shook her head, tears mixing with the rain. "I didn't want you involved. But now, I'm terrified. I can't handle this alone. If you don't help, things will get so much worse." John stared directly into her eyes, his resolve hardening into steel. "Emily, I told you I am not leaving you. No matter the danger, I'm staying with you. We face this together." In that critical moment, a sudden movement caught his attention, a couple of dark figures emerging from the gloom down the street. John instantly recognized the threat. He yanked Emily behind a recessed wall, his heart slamming against his ribs, his breath shallow. The figures wore dark, hooded rain gear, their gait hurried, their eyes scanning the desolate street. Emily trembled, pressing herself against John. They're looking for me. John, you have to help." Her voice was laced with panic, her pulse racing. John gripped her hand tighter, his eyes focused, stripped clean of earlier pain and despair, replaced by cold, hard determination. "I won't let them touch you. We're moving. Stay with me." They bolted down a narrow alleyway. Rain splashed up around their feet, the weak light illuminating the blurry graffiti walls. The footsteps behind them grew closer, a steady, ominous drumbeat, emphasizing the rapidly encroaching danger. Emily struggled to keep her composure, but her hands were shaking violently. John glanced frantically around for an escape route, then decided to lead her toward the side entrance of the nearby park, the quiet spot where they used to walk. Now deserted save for the falling rain and the rustling leaves. "They're tracking us. We have to be fast. We can't let them catch up," John muttered, his voice tense and controlled. He pulled Emily close, urging her forward as they dashed through the empty paths, his heart threatening to burst out of his chest. A sudden flash of dark rain gear cut across their escape path. Emily gasped, but John quickly slammed her against the nearest brick wall. He glared at the figure, an alarm ringing loudly. This wasn't just corporate sabotage. This was real, physical jeopardy. John held Emily's hand, whispering urgently, "Stick close to me. Don't stop." They resumed their frantic run, leaping over puddles, melting into the shadows, their movements cautious but driven. Rain lashed their faces, blending with the adrenaline rush, creating an atmosphere of total chaos and mounting suspense. Emily looked up at John, her eyes a mix of terror and desperate faith. "John, are you really going to stay with me?" she gasped breathlessly. "I told you, Emily, I'm never letting you go," John replied, his voice firm, a protective oath against the pouring rain and the danger pursuing them. To people, one fear, one enduring love, running through the downpour on a quiet Brooklyn street. Danger was imminent, but their shared commitment and fierce determination had forged a strength potent enough to propel them forward. even as the outcome remained entirely uncertain. John and Emily tore through the desolate streets, the relentless rain soaking them through, making their steps slick and perilous on the wet asphalt. John's heart hammered a frantic rhythm. They weren't just fleeing fear, they were running from real, tangible danger. He held Emily tightly, his eyes darting everywhere, every shadow, every echo of a step tightening his nerves to the breaking point. John, they won't give up, Emily panted, her voice trembling, her face pale with terror. What are we going to do? John leaned in, his voice low but unshakable. We are not giving up. Just trust me. Follow my lead. He pulled her into a narrow cut-through leading toward the park, an area that was deserted but offered a wider field of view. Suddenly, a figure in dark clothing emerged from behind a low stone wall, a phone raised, seemingly taking pictures of them. Emily gasped, recoiling, but John instantly shielded her with his body, pulling her tight against him. Don't panic. I'm here, he whispered fiercely. Emily looked up at John, her eyes wide with fear yet shining with unwavering trust. She knew this moment was the absolute crucible. John, I don't know if we can make it, she choked out. We're going to find a way. I promise you, John responded, his voice grave, loaded with steel resolve. He cautiously observed the figure, recognizing him instantly as one of the very partners Emily had mentioned, the man intent on coercing her. The dark figure abruptly started moving toward them, quickening his pace. John was ready. He grabbed Emily's hand and lunged to the left, breaking the line of sight. They sprinted through the shrubbery, splashing through puddles, the rain lashing their faces, merging with the desperate, frantic beat of their hearts, creating a suffocating tension. Emily was breathless, tears mixing indistinguishably with the rain, but her grip on John's hand remained iron. John, you really won't leave me, she whispered hoarsely. I told you, Emily. Never, John vowed, leading the way and protecting her simultaneously. He knew that failure now meant disaster on a scale far worse than a breakup. Reaching the edge of the park's reservoir, John decided to seek momentary cover, pressing them against a thick trunk of an old oak tree. He looked at Emily, his eyes intense and urgent in the dim light. Emily, right now, you have to tell me the entire truth. No more holding back. Only if we face this together do we stand a chance of escaping this danger. Emily took a shaky breath, her eyes brimming. John, the truth is, they are trying to force me to sign off on fraudulent paperwork involving the investment fund my firm manages. If I refuse, they will stop at nothing to get the information, even harm me and my family. She broke down sobbing, her voice cracking with the enormity of her fear. John froze, his heart seemingly skipping a beat. Shock immediately gave way to a powerful surge of protectiveness. He squeezed her hands harder. It's okay. I'm here, Emily. I will protect you, whatever they try to do. We will face them together, John said, his voice now a low, concentrated force. His gaze locked on hers, lending her the strength she needed to stay vertical. Emily leaned into John, weeping, but a flicker of resilience ignited in her eyes. She knew that without him, she wouldn't have the courage to continue. But with John standing firm, she felt a strange, primal power enough to transcend the fear and confront the impending danger. The steady sound of the rain and their ragged breathing created a scene both serene and utterly explosive. They knew this moment would determine not only Emily's safety but their entire future, their love, their trust, and their very survival. John looked around, his mind sharp with resolve. Emily, we are going to survive this. Just trust me, and move with me. No one is going to tear us apart. Emily nodded, tightening her grasp on John. Two people stood together in the pouring park rain, ready to face the unknown peril. Their love, belief, and shared resolve had turned terror into strength, creating a moment of both extreme danger and profound, desperate hope. John and Emily remained standing in the park, the relentless rain continuing to lash down, mirroring the exhausted, ragged rhythm of their breaths. The figures in the dark retreat finally dissolved into the shadows, seemingly deterred by John's protective stance and the exposed area. John held Emily tight, a wave of profound relief crashing over the residue of terror. For now, after the heart-stopping danger and the overwhelming fear, they were momentarily safe. Emily buried her face against John's chest, her tears indistinguishable from the rain. John, thank you for not leaving me, she whispered, her voice fractured with emotion. Her heart was still hammering, but a faint, new light of belief flickered in her eyes, a sense that things, miraculously, could still turn out all right. John held her gaze, his own eyes burning with love, protection, and fierce determination. I told you, Emily, I'm always here. Whatever happens, we get through it together. Emily lifted her head to look at him, a faint, genuine smile finally breaking through the strain. She knew they had just survived a life-threatening ordeal, and that their shared love and renewed trust were the powerful, unexpected anchors that saved them. "John, maybe, this time, we actually get each other," she said, her voice softening, losing its hard edges. John let out a long, shaky breath, the tension in his chest slowly easing. "Yes, Emily. And this time, we're not letting anything, or anyone, break that foundation." He looked around the park. The rain was gentle on the leaves, the golden light reflecting softly on the reservoir, creating a scene both still and profoundly peaceful after the storm. They started walking toward the park exit, their hands fused together. Every step carried the weight of resolve, affection, and optimism. Emily leaned into John's shoulder, feeling his steady heartbeat, savoring a sense of security she thought she had lost forever. "From this moment on, we face everything together. No secrets, no fear," John vowed, his voice low and comforting. Emily nodded, her eyes bright, the smile on her lips becoming less fragile and more certain. "That's right. We move forward, together, whatever comes next." The heavy rain began to thin, the last drops creating delicate, widening rings in the puddles. The world around them grew quieter, more serene, but the faint echo of the danger, the promises exchanged, and the bedrock of their trust lingered. John and Emily walked side by side down the empty street, their steps synchronized, a silent testament to the ordeal they had conquered. The rain, the threat, and the fear had passed, leaving behind two people more connected, stronger, and ready to face the complexities of their future as they emerged from the park. The streetlights reflected on the receding water, shimmering like a sign of a new dawn. Emily looked at John, giving him a genuine, heartfelt smile for the first time in days, and John returned it with a warm, steady love. Two figures stood in the heart of Brooklyn, hand in hand, stepping onto their own path, knowing that no matter the challenges, they would never again be alone. The rain faded to a drizzle, but the memory of those dangerous moments, the sacred vows, and the rediscovered trust would be etched into their minds forever, a constant reminder that real love always finds a way to endure.